Opening the pages of Blood Meridian, you are immediately slapped with violence, and upon delving deeper into the narrative, there is no letting up. The typical Western plot of the gun-toting white cowboys, in all their righteousness, claiming land from the native Indians, has been given a new twist, the elimination of the good guy versus bad guy scenario. Blood Meridian sheds no mercy. There is no good guys. It's a fictional tale of where everyone is bad. But is it really fiction? In an attempt to shatter American Western mythology, author Cormac McCarthy has drawn on the historical context of America's colonization from the mid-1800s. Inside the dust jacket of the novel's hardcover edition, it clearly states that several characters, including Glanton and Judge Holden, actually existed, and their exploits are recorded from that period of time. McCarthy departs from the usual ideology of Western genre and dabbles in the more recent subgenre of acid Western, a radical revision of Westerns which tend to focus more on the trauma and suffering through violent affiliation. Take this passage, for example. There were in the camp a number of Mexican slaves, and these ran forth, calling out in Spanish, and were brained or shot, and one of the Delawares emerged from the smoke with a naked infant dangling in each hand, and squatted at a ring of midden stones and swung them by the heels each in turn and bashed their heads against the stones so that the brains burst forth through the fontaine in a bloody spew, and humans on fire came shrieking forth like berserkers, and the riders hacked them down with their enormous knives. McCarthy takes us on a journey of survival and death through America's Wild West, and at the same time treats us with a cinematic experience through his descriptive writing. Snuffing out the usual Western romanticism of the scenic landscape and idealistic way of living, McCarthy draws on the acid Western zenith, describing the novel's scenery as treacherous and unforgiving. Here's another example. They rode all day upon a pale Gastine, sparsely growing with saltbush and panic grass. In the evening they entrained upon a hollow ground that rang so roundly under the horses' hooves that they stepped and fiddled and rolled their eyes like circus animals, and that at night as they lay in that ground, all heard, the dull boom of rock falling somewhere far below them in the awful darkness inside the world. All night sheet lightning quaked sourceless to the west beyond the midnight thunderheads, making a bluish day of the distant desert, the mountains on the southern skyline stark and black and livid like a land of some other order out there whose true geology was not stone but fear. The author, though, still implies many Western genre connotations, such as men drinking heavily in salons, whores on standby, horses pulling wagons, and of course racism. Here's another example of the racism in the text. The dram house was a long narrow hall, wainscoted with varnished boards. There were tables by the wall and spitones on the floor. There were no patrons. The barman looked up when they entered, and a nigger that had been sweeping the floor stood the broom against the wall and went out. But overall, the book is primarily about violence and in the social context, patriarchy, reflecting the American West colonization period, where the man had the main responsibility and authority. McCarthy has attempted to stamp out a hidden history through his protagonist, and by doing so has shown his concern for stories his own country has told him. He has, through the creation of Blood Meridian, shed new light on the ideology of America's Wild West.